I'm glad you guys are joining me today, especially since you've been with me through this series regarding the Kleshas. And the Kleshas are the mental afflictions that are the root cause of suffering, according to the yogic philosophy. It mentions 5 different categories, and we're on the 5th one. Is illusion and ignorance, the things that block us from seeing the true state of the self or the true state of reality. The second one was the ego. The third one was attachments, and how our attachments towards things we love, people, places, and things, when we, have a tendency to lose those things, how it can create suffering. We also talked about being attached to a particular time in our past, maybe when someone had harmed or hurt us somehow. We could also be tethered to that type of trauma. So attachments create suffering, and on the reverse side of that, aversions, things we avoid, things we run from, things that we think will cause us harm, can also create suffering. And the last thing that we'll be talking about today is the fear of death. That's considered the final klesha. But if you look at the fear of death, it's also the fear of change, right? Because there's no greater change than when your soul is departing this physical body. Like, that's a huge change. So it's the fear of change. It's the fear of the unknown. I had a good friend who lost his mom, and within a year was losing his dad. And his dad was just clinging to life, clinging. And he went to go visit his dad one day. He was at a place where people were having to take care of him. He was in a state of losing his mind. And his son, my friend, went to him and said, "Dad, what are you so afraid of?" He said, "I'm afraid I'm going to hell." And that's why he wouldn't let go. So the fear of the unknown, the fear of change, the fear of death is the final klesha. It all kind of wraps into each other. So I'll share with you that when I was really, really young, like 4, 5, 6 years old, I had to be at church every time the doors were open. Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, gospel meetings, vacation Bible schools, weddings, funerals, you name it, the doors were open, I had to be there. And it was a very conservative Church of Christ upbringing. A lot of dogma, a lot of fear imposed. And I remember at a very young age coming home and not knowing how to verbalize what I was feeling or thinking to my family, but I would change clothes and I would run out into the woods behind my house, and I would sit there and I would get lost in thought. Really, it was a different type of meditation, and I was meditating on certain things that I'd heard. And I would sit with it and I would say, "Oh man, this is the one and only life? Really?" And I would run it over and over in my head, and I had so much resistance to that. I just didn't believe it. And then I would think, so when I die, I'm going to be dead forever and ever 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 and ever. And I would literally sit there and blow my mind thinking about forever and ever. And I had just so much resistance to that. I was like, I don't think that's right. And then I would sit and think about, you go to this restful place, and then you have to wait to who knows when, 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, 1,000,000 years from now. And then there's the judgment day, and you're going to determine if I'm saved or if I'm going to hell. And I would sit with that forever, and I would be like, ah. And I finally, as I got older, started to talk about it, and didn't get anywhere with my conversations, and completely religion and did all the things. And then when it was time for me to leave to go to college, as soon as I left the home, as soon as I left the church, as soon as I found myself on a college campus, I found myself with the same questions that I was mulling over in my head at 4, 5, 6 years old. And I would sit with it and I would sit with it. And what came to me, I don't remember seeking it out. I think it just showed up in my life somehow, was a book called Life After Life. And it was a book written by a guy named Richard Moody. I'm wanting to say he was a psychiatrist or psychologist. And he decided, he had the same questions I had. Why are we scared to die? What happens when you die? And who better to ask than someone who's had a near-death experience, who's actually died on the table and came back? What was your experience? And so he collected all of these stories from all of these people, from all these different cultures, from all these different religious backgrounds, and all these different ways of dying, from attempted suicide to car accidents, to being hit by lightning, to having a heart attack, to childbirth, to even you name it. And that started my spiritual path. And that resonated with me. When I read that book and read all the stories, I'm like, here's the answers. These are the answers I wasn't getting. This makes sense to me. This I can believe. And I don't even know if that book is in print anymore, but many years later, they created a documentary. And I think it was on like TV show or TV stations. And one of our members of our Halfmoon community, and a member of Franklin, was actually the filmmaker of the documentary. And I met him years later. And when he told me, I was like, oh my God, that book changed my life. And we had great conversations about it. Because he obviously met Richard Moody and he filmed all of these different people telling their story. And anyway, I'm telling you that because I had an incredible fear of death because of what I was taught. And I had nightmares all through adolescence about death and dying and funerals. Like literally, those were my nightmares every night. It was me, or it was my family member, or it was my friend. And that book actually helped me to understand, and all this yoga and meditation over the course of 20 some years has also helped me to understand what I find to be hopeful and embracing and accepting of the dying process. I don't want to hurt and I don't want to be in pain when it's happening, but I'm also very accepting of the fact that it's none of us can escape it. And so that's what the yogis want us to really kind of face and to question and to sit with, because they say it's one of the greatest fears that we have as humans. So think about how we tend to cling to life and how you may have even had loved ones that were clinging to life at the end. And one thing that we often hear is one reason they're clinging to it is because they still have something unresolved. They may be holding on because they want to see that child that, you know, lives far away that needs to come visit. Or they may need to say something to someone that's been held in their heart the whole time and not ever spoken. So anyway, that is our contemplative food for thought today. And we're going to come back to it at the end. And what I want you to enjoy when we're doing our physical practice is how animated and expressive and how much aliveness there is in our postures that we're going to be doing actively today. So let's just start on our backs. I don't mean for this to be a heavy or morbid subject whatsoever. So let's open our hearts first. So if you take a restorative back bend, and you can use the blocks if you prefer that over a bolster. And let your hands fan open. Let your feet kind of sprawl out. Let your eyes gently close. And at first, just tune into the contour of your body. And the support under your spine. Whether or not the subject matter makes you hold your breath. And don't allow it to impede your breath. Begin to open your breath in a purposeful manner. Remembering that the breath is our greatest life support. As soon as we are born, we breathe in. And when we pass away, we have the final breath out. But think of the innumerable breaths that we have in between. Feel the belly and chest rising as you inhale. Softening on the exhale. Continue to meditate on the breath and notice if you have a natural pause or still point. You may be a person that allows one breath to roll right into the next. Either way is fine, as long as you are openly channeling your breath. Infusing yourself with this fresh oxygen, prana. This prana that we call life force energy. The energy that keeps the mind operating, the body operating. And allow the controlled breath to sync up the mind, the body, and the spirit that's housed within. On your next in-breath, slide your feet back your direction. And then fan the knees apart, let the soles of the feet meet each other. Soften through your inner thighs and buttocks. The knees can gravitate downward. We won't hold this too long. Take 2 more breaths. Now slowly begin to elevate the knees, separate the feet to the edges of the mat. Let the knees rock over to the left. Inhale, pass through center, and as you exhale, let them roll to the right. And now let's flow with our breathing. So the inhale brings them up, and the exhale will take them back to the left. Inhale to the top and then over to the right. Do that once more to each side. But this time when the knees rock to the right, you're gonna roll to that side. Slide the bolster away. Back to sit. As you come up to sit, take the arms up overhead. Exhale, lower your left hand down and curve to that side. Bring the hand to cup up underneath the base of the skull and see if you can pivot or peel the heart open and maybe turn your gaze up. If it inhibits the breath, you may be doing too much physically. Inhale, build right back to the top. Let the arms be like 11, parallel with each other. And then gently allow the right hand to fall away, curve to that side of the room. Take the hand behind the head, gently peel the heart open. Turning the gaze upward. Parshva is where we look sharply through the corner of the eyes. Breathe well to break up any tension here. And then slowly exit that position. All right, we're going to come to stand. And when we come up to stand, you can anchor your feet towards the top of the mat. And when you anchor the feet down, line up the legs, stacking the bones and joints. Bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. We're going to start with a simple half sun salute. As you reach the arms up, come to upward worship. Feel the muscles activate close to the spine. And then exhale, come straight down, hands still together until you're hinging all the way down, and then they can separate and you can bow your head. Inhale, come halfway up. Create some space between the legs and the chest. And then exhale, close that gap. Inhale all the way up to the top. Exhale, we're flowing right back through center. Keep your feet drilling down, your kneecaps lifting up, and then come to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, release. Inhale, keep the feet cemented to the floor as the arms circle wide and overhead. We'll do one more. Exhale, hinge forward and bow. Inhale, come halfway up and look forward. Exhale, close back into cell. Dangle the arms, close the eyes. Affirming here, nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. Not even the fear of change, the fear of loss, or the fear of the unknown. Inhale, building back up. Exhale, bring your hands to the heart. All right, so make sure you're standing at the top of the mat. We're going to be stepping back to warrior one. Mary, you have a bolster there. I don't want you to trip over anything. So when you're ready, you're going to step back with your right foot. Keep the front knee lunging. And then build up so that your shoulders are stacking over the hips. So bring your hands to the hips. Kind of bury the feet down. Keep the front knee lunging. Look at the knee. Make sure it's pointed towards the center of the foot. And you can use your hands for information as you square the hips and square the shoulders. Lift through the crown of your head, and then eventually bring the arms up alongside the ears. Feel the back calf muscles especially. Breathe up into the heart, up. Exhale, hands come back together. Good, when you're ready, step it forward. Inhale, step the left foot back. All right, so from here, let's focus on a firm foundation in the feet. Bring the hands down to the waist. Bury that back heel especially. And when you do that, that back thigh bone kind of kicks back. And the more you firm the muscles to the bones, and the more you support your own body weight and mass, then we're going to help to strengthen the bones as well. Square the hips and shoulders, and then free up the arms. Chin stays parallel to the earth. Your eyes are set on one place in front of you. Affirming in Virabhadrasana 1, I attune myself to the wheel of higher power. Exhale, bring the hands down. When you're ready, step up to the front. All right, now, you guys on this side of the room may want to face the center. You guys may want to face the center, because I'm going to turn and face you. And that way we all kind of know what's going on. Hands are going to be to the hips at first. Rotate the foot closest to the top of the mat. So for some of you, it will be left, for others, right. Good, lunge that knee. And then go ahead and drop and drink the elbow right on top. And instead of keeping that thigh up, you are trying to settle it down. Making sure the knee doesn't cross past the ankle, making sure the knee still faces the center of the foot. And then let your free arm reach up towards the sky. Put a lot of action in your straight leg. Feel the sensation in the front hip. And then take the top arm and splay it over the ear for side angle. Affirming as you hold. I am becoming a fountain of boundless energy and power. Inhale, let's slowly bring it up. Turn that foot in. Look down at the feet, make sure one is not ahead of the other. Glue them down, hands to the hips. Shoulders are going to roll back. Now, instead of folding down with your chest really poking out, keep the chest open, but cinch in through your low ribs and through the upper part of the belly. And that way, the chest stays open, but you're engaging your core to support your back as you fold. And that can eliminate any catch or pain in the SI joints too. Elbows lifting, head lowering. Prasarita Padottanasana. This is the B variation. There's other expressions you can do with your arms and hands if you want a different expression. So someone asked me in the last class, they were like, I'm having trouble with memory. Are there any poses that can boost memory? And I'll tell you the same thing I told them. Meditation is the key to helping our memory, but also poses like this, where we're inverted and everything's coming towards the crown of the head. So it could be this pose, it could be Uttanasana, it could be down dog, headstand, hair pose. Press into the feet and slowly start to come up. Whew. You might get a little lightheaded there. Now turn your other foot out towards the back side of your mat. Lunge that knee. Stack the elbow. Look down, make sure the knee's not crossing beyond the ankle. It's facing the center of the foot. And then let your free arm reach straight up towards the heavens. Activate that back leg. So you want just as much weight on your back foot than you do your front foot. And then if you want, you can sail the arm across the face and breathe into that side strip of the body. So these active poses are a blend of strength and flexibility. On your next inhalation, gently begin to build yourself up. Turn that back foot in. Turn the front foot towards the front of the mat and step it up to the top. All right, we're going to stick with some standing poses today. Hope that's okay for you guys. Inhale, right foot steps back. But when you step back with this foot, look to make sure that the heel is sticking out a little farther than the toes. So it's slightly angled in. Reach the arms out and sail over the front leg, and you're pushing the hips back. That's it. And then exhale, windmill down to your triangle pose. If you look down at your left arm, it should be stacked with precision over that left leg. And then roll the left shoulder back towards yourself. Energize the top fingers. So all these intuitives and channelers and astrologers I've been listening to are all saying the same thing, that we all have these divine light codes that are being downloaded into our system, into our chakras. And they're all going to be awakened at different points in time in the near future. So just imagine that. It's a cool concept, really. And affirm energy, joy, and the divine light codes are coming down to me. Inhale, draw up. Relax that back arm. Now, take your time bending that front knee, and we're going to step that right foot over, and then re-straighten the front leg, hands to hips. And then we're going to cross the arms behind us. Notice which arm's on the bottom, because we'll switch it up on the next side. Now, that area I was telling you to cinch in, you're actually going to blossom open at first. And then stay stable through your legs and feet. And as you exhale, start to come forward. Now cinch in through that section. And gently begin to fold out over the front leg. Squeezing the left hip in. Gazing down towards the toes. Yesterday I did a yoga nidra with an acu-detox. And we had one lady who was just squirming and restless the entire time. And I was feeling bad because I thought, you can't always control the energy. And even though everybody looked blissed out, I felt bad for her because I could tell she was uncomfortable. And by the time I got to yoga nidra, we usually take a mental vacation. And before I walked out the door, I asked myself the question, where am I going to take them today? And an immediate download of the African safari came into my mind. And so that's where I took them. As you inhale, press deeply into that front foot, slowly draw up. We held that a bit. Ooh, sensation still happening even as we come up. Relax the arms, and then step up to the front. So Anyway, I felt bad the whole time because I didn't think she was having a good experience at all. And she came up to me after class and she said, no, it was really great, even though I had a hard time with it. Step back with your left foot. Make sure that back foot's turned in a little bit of an angle. Stretch out the arms, push back into your hips, and take Trikonasana, your triangle pose. Anyway, she went on to say, she goes, I felt really nauseous and bad this morning, but I wanted to be here. And she said, really, it boils down to anger. I'm pissed off. She said, I lost both of my parents this year, back to back. And then her boyfriend of however many years left her. And her dog of 14 years had just passed. And she said, you know, I came in pissed. I'm angry. But then she went on to say, but then you took us to Africa. And I had all these fond memories because my parents took me to Africa, specifically to the safari. So I felt like that download came to me as I was walking out the door, just for her. Inhale, slowly come up and out of triangle. Bend that front knee, because that's going to give you a little bit more balance and stability to hop that back foot over. And then square off the hips. Now remember, we crossed the arms behind us before. Cross them the other way. Lift your chest. Exhale, draw in through the ribs and gently bow over the front leg and gaze down towards your toes. Stay committed to the pose. Feel the expression of the pose, the animation of the pose, the energy, the blood flow running in different sections. Keep your focus. And then pressing into the right foot and slowly. Good. And when you're ready, release your arms and step up to the front. We're going to balance. As we balance, know that when you're stacked and standing on a leg, you're improving your balance, you're improving your focus, you're also building strength in the muscles and bones here. So bend your right knee, turn open from the hip. And this may be where you need to station yourself today. You may prefer it to the calf. I actually find that to be the hardest. You may want it to the inner thigh. I'll let you choose. But we're going to bring the hands to the heart today. The top of the sternum, where we place this mudra, is actually an acupressure point for a heart center. And then set up for the second side. Ensure that you're not rocking all the way into one hip. You're lifting up and out of both. Balance and breathe. Firm and calm. And forth. Calm and poised. All right, now we're going to bring it back down to the floor. As you inhale, let your arms circle wide and up. Gaze straight ahead with your eyes. Exhale, this time we're gonna swan dive forward and down to your Uttanasana. Inhale, we're gonna step back to plank. And then from plank, we're gonna descend to the knees and untuck the toes. We're gonna build some strength in the upper body now. The standing poses build that in the lower body. We're gonna tilt forward. So the whole upper body is shifting ahead. And then as we exhale, we're gonna bend the arms. And then inhale, push right back up. We're gonna do that 4 more times. Exhale, shift forward and lower. Inhale, press right back up. So don't go so low that you feel like you're gonna collapse. So even if it's just being here, if that's your edge, that's okay. Let that be your edge. Once you do a complete 5, you're gonna stay stacked in tabletop position. From tabletop position, draw in through the belly. Stay strong in your arms and hands and set your right leg back with the toes curled. Slowly elevate your right foot and then push down through your left shin. And then take the right foot over to the left and turn your gaze over the left shoulder. See if you can see that foot. You may or may not be able to. And then come back and lower the right knee. Inhale, step your left foot back. Toes are tucked. Stay committed through your arms and hands. And then once you know your arms are strong, your core is strong, you can lift the left foot. Keep it suspended, keep breathing. Cross it now over to the right side of your mat and turn your gaze over the right shoulder. See if you can actually see the foot. Good, gently return back to table. Tip forward with your hips and lower down to your belly. Down to the ground. Bring your arms beside your hips, palms down. Inhale, lift and extend your right leg up. Exhale, descend the right foot down. Inhale, lift and extend your left leg up. Exhale, send it back to the floor. Bring the hands forward, but let them hover. Keep your leg bone shooting back and lift to a low cobra. Without the use of your arms, and breathe. Strengthen your diaphragm muscle that you're resting on. Let it lift you up on the inhale. Sink you lower on the exhale. 2 more breaths. Bring the palms down, lift up to table, and then sit back in child's pose. And you can do any expression of child's. You may have a favorite. And take 2 more breaths. Keep the arms outstretched. Inhale, rock up hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. And from your Adho Mukha Svanasana, your head just resting between the upper arms. Gaze back into that space between the feet. Keep rooting your hands and feet downward, soaring your seat skyward. Inhale, come forward to plank. The head is up. Exhale, press it back to downward facing dog where the head's facing down. And do that a few more rounds. Inhale, coming forward to plank. Exhale to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's do one more set. From downward facing dog, gently coming down to the knees, down to a seat, and legs out in the arms. We're probably back on the floor. Flex the feet. Lift your arms up. Active Dandasana. And then notice your feet. Notice if your big toes are coming back more so than your pinky toes. Can you spread them wide and equally push out through the mound of the big toes and pinky toes. Exhale, we're bringing the hands down and we're going to slide them back behind us. Slide your feet back next. And we're going to do reverse, which is lifting up like this. I've also heard this called altar pose. In yoga kids, they call it crab pose. Exhale, gently lower it back down. Slide your left foot out. Open up your right hip. We're going to do an open twist. So once you have good posture, go ahead and start to turn to the right. Let your left hand move across to the right knee. Your right hand can circle back behind you. Eyes can be open or shut. And affirm mentally within. Radiate my love, my goodwill, and compassion to soul friends everywhere. Take the right hand up. Stay in the twist. Exhale, lean out over the straight leg. Inhale, come back to the top. And then your exhale will unwind you from the twist. Good, right knee lifted. Extend it forward, left knee bends, open from the hip. Create good posture. Once you have that in play, then turn to your left. Right hand can reach across to the left knee. Left hand rolls behind your back. Eyes can be open or shut. Affirming, I radiate my love, goodwill, compassion to soul, friends, everyone. Lift your left arm. And then curve over the straight leg. Inhale, build up to the top. Exhale, unwind from the twist. Okay, you're coming on down. And you roll down to your back. Is everybody feeling okay in their bodies still? Okay. What'd you say? Relative. Yeah. Relative to which pose we're doing? Right knee draws in. Now you may want to keep the left foot stationed to the floor here. I actually find that I like this better than straightening it out these days. But you may still have the preference of straightening the left leg. So I'll let you strike the pose that you feel is best today. And you can even explore one versus the other. Let's release the right foot. And now let's cup a hold of the left. Good, release. Now lift both feet off the mat. Send them upward. Try to line your ankles over your hips. Yeah, that's even better. We have the tendency to want to draw them closer into the upper body or lean them towards our face, but this is actually good right here. You don't have to strive for anything more than this. 3 more breaths. On that third breath, when you breathe out, hug both knees in. Now you can always take the hands behind your thighs or knees. They don't necessarily have to be across your shins. All right, so we are going to focus on Savasana now. If you need props, if you want props, maybe a bolster lining up underneath your thighs, you may want to roll to one side, figure out where those props are to bring them in. So the bolster can slide up underneath your knees, your head can be supported by a blanket, or you may want to cover with a blanket. Take your time settling in, be comfortable. And I want you to consider how this pose goes back to this Klesha. After all, it's called the corpse pose. Shavasana actually began as a way to practice dying, to be a meditation on death, and to face this fear. To go beyond the fear. And the first thing I want you to do when you get settled and comfortable is just to make sure like your legs are comfortable, the feet slightly splayed open. And instead of letting the shoulders be broad today, maybe see if you can slightly tuck the shoulders under, cinching them a little closer towards the vertebrae so that your heart center can get uplifted. And then allow yourself to become motionless. See if you can relax all the sensory organs, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth. And notice how different this pose is compared to the active postures that we perform that were animated and expressive and so alive and full of vitality. But the cool thing is, hopefully you can still feel that vital life force within. Even though your heart rate is lowering and your mind and your body is relaxing, try to disengage from any internal chatter. Try to focus purely on your breath. Let go of any and all distractions. And the idea is to tap in, to recognize, to merge with the inner witness, the infinite part that dwells within. To discover this infinite part of yourself is not attached to the body. It goes beyond the mind and the body. And when you can feel it and experience it and believe it, you can overcome the fear. So I'm going to let you steep in some silence. Begin to deepen the flow of your breathing. Appreciating this life support system. All the innumerable breaths we've taken thus far. Not taking it for granted. Opening up the hands and feet. Wrapping your arms lovingly around the legs. Turning to one side. Building your way up to a formal seat. Your hands to prayer. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let there be peace, peace, everlasting peace. Thanks for joining today. We're going to continue this for Wednesday and have a couple of stories to share for Wednesday.